All right, we're going to give it a couple more minutes here, guys. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So familiar crew that are on here, I'll let others in as they go, but I'm assuming a lot of those that are on here with each time zone and that are going to be watching this in recording. So this is being recorded. Welcome everybody to the first all hands. I'm certain there will be more of them for Kersey AI Applied AI Scout Program. Before I jump in, if you haven't done all the LinkedIn searching and that, I'm Wade Kersey, 30 plus years in the telecom industry. Dove headfirst into AI about 3 years ago when ChatGPT was, about a couple months old, and have been staying and evolving with the AI technologies and what's going on in the world of AI. And started Kersey Consulting. So if you see emails in that from Kersey Consulting, that's the parent company. We formed Kersey AI as a DBA, or doing business as Kersey AI, under the umbrella of Kersey Consulting, because it more aligned with what we're actually doing out there in the market. And I'll get to that here in a minute with our partnership in particular that I'm going to mention. But why does this, I'm just going to open with, there's a couple others joining here. So give me a second to let everybody in. So why does this program exist? Why is it here? A lot of it is a personal passion of mine that I think there's a lot of people in the corporate world that maybe disenfranchised with their current role, or we know job displacements are happening, and a lot of you can't go anywhere and not hear hear about AI and how AI or the robots are going to take over the world, or they're going to displace every job, and no one knows the future on that. But the reality is there's huge opportunity for those that get involved with AI in this window of time. And I'm going to talk about this when I say window of time. I think the next 2 years are probably going to be the most disruptive that maybe even mankind has ever seen. But certainly in the US, we're going to see it. As a side note, a friend of mine texted me today, who was with Oracle, giant company, and he said they were quiet about AI, had almost ignored it, and now are going at warp speed. And what that means is there's automations that they're now trusting and they're now implementing in the business, and that's going to have wide impact on a lot of people. So right now is the right time to be in this Applied AI Scout program. I did this out of my passion for helping other people, giving other people an avenue to get into AI and earn meaningful income. And so who this is for anyone eager to get into AI, has thought I need to, but I don't know how, I don't know where to jump into this giant swimming pool of information. Where do I even start? This is a great starting point because we're very focused on the application specifically I'll talk about here that's very advantageous to small businesses. And that's what we're going to lead with. And I'll get to that here in a minute. But who's this for? It's for eager professionals. And I say that because if you decide that this is for you, at the end of this call, we're going to send an email out with a link to the agreement. This is basically the agreement between yourself and Kersey Consulting and the code of conduct. If you agree with all of that, the commission structure is spelled out in there. And if you're ready to go, we're ready to have you. This is not for tire kickers, but it is early It's important to know that early doesn't mean risk. It means there's a real opportunity here. And this chart, I'm going to expand this a little bit so you can see it a little better. Let's focus on really what this is. This is a time frame of where we are and where things are headed over the next couple of years in the way of adoption of AI. So I'd ask you to focus first on the blue line, which is this is going to be a typical adoption curve for small businesses. And when I say small businesses, every time I say small businesses or SMB, I'm referring to 50 employees or less. Why is that the sweet spot? Well, it's the sweet spot because it's a large segment of our workers in general, but it's also the folks that are really not they're not DIY people. They're people that want the assistance, they want help, they want to implement automation in their business, and they don't know how, and they want it done for them. So you're going to hear me say multiple times, we're the do it for you model here. But what also is happening as we approach that, and we're still over here on the left side, January of 26.
Hey Wade, are you
Yeah,
looking at the line right now?
I'm sorry.
Share your screen. Are you looking at the Notion doc right now?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen.
I am sharing my screen. Is everyone else seeing share screen? There's also a tab at the top, Gav. If you're only looking at me, you can see what I'm sharing. A lot of people.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I
I
was
can
in
see it.
gallery view.
Okay.
Apologies.
So the the AI is scary curve is what's really happening right now. And still you hear this throughout the media, you hear this throughout, whoever, a lot of people you talk to. It doesn't get things right, it hallucinates, it's not reliable. And then on into even people saying that it's evil. So that curve is still actually on its way up right now. As we see adoption continue to go up, and as the Oracle story that I just mentioned is probably really good evidence of this, the scary component of AI is going to decline, and it's going to decline probably a lot faster than it surfaced. And we're going to see it gradually work its way down on the dotted red line, never to zero. There's always going to be people that say it doesn't work. I'm never going to use it, et cetera, et cetera. So as where we are right now is we're in between these two lines. The adoption's down here, the scary's up here. Well, that means we're sort of in this yellow area of probably the next 6 months where you're going to be looking for early adopters that have said, all right, enough is enough. I know I need automation in my business. I'm willing to take this dive and I need to get my business up to speed. That's who we're looking for in this early stage. Eventually the adoption curve is going to cross over, and then it's going to far exceed the unreliable AI is scary curve. That's going to begin the mass adoption. Most predictors, this isn't me, most predictors are saying this is going to happen mid-year and on in through the early part of next, when most of these small businesses are going to adopt. They're going to be they're not going to be in reactive mode. That comes later in the curve for those that don't. The fate is almost certain. But anyway, what the point of this is, we're right here in this yellow space, the yellow arrow right now. So the reason why we took the direction that we did with what we're calling unison. I'm going to refer to that multiple times here. The reason why is because we believe that this adoption curve right here is well suited for those early adopters with even having the uncertainty still baked in. This is the part of the curve that we want to capture. These are the folks that can get significant competitive advantage against their small business competitors in these early stages of adoption. So this is what's going to happen. And I think when we get into this area here, towards the top of the curve, the calls will be coming to us in mass because there will just be a significant number that maybe waited and then realized it's time to move. A lot of this came together when I'm going to tell this story briefly, but it's important. I sat on, if anyone's familiar with Zapier, I'm sure several of you are familiar with Zapier. They're a player in the automation space. They're not by definition an AI company, nor would they tell you that they are, but they're an automation company. They're a do it for yourself, a DIY automation company. You can go in and learn Zapier, learn some basics of Zapier, and connect platforms that you work with together. You can connect Google Sheets with Gmail. You can connect Gmail with CRMs. They have about 7,000 pre-built integrations. So if you need to move data from one place to the next, do something with it in between, Zapier is ideally built for that. Well, Zapier did an all hands call of their entire workforce on their scheduled regular, I think it was a Monday, might have been a Tuesday, and they opened it up to the public. And so I sat in on it, and because they're Zapier, I wanted to see what they were doing, but the subject of the call was their AI plans. And quite honestly, the AI plans I expected to hear and what I heard didn't fit together at all. They were still talking about early adoption type rhetoric associated with AI. They were talking about doing Zapier competency tests for people they were hiring into the company. They were talking about some very basic functionalities of AI, and I spotted really a big gap. So I took a bold step and I went directly to the CEO and said, we've got a go to market plan that will bring Zapier back to the group of those small business companies, small businesses, 50 or less employees that don't have a DIY person on staff, that don't want to go hire an AI expert or contract an AI consultant, but they want solutions. They want it done. And I think we have a model we can go proactively at that group versus attracting them and trying to educate them first on the technology in order for them to do it themselves. And long and short of it, as a short exchange of emails with the CEO led us to him saying, this is a good fit for us. This is a good fit because it does address a segment of the market that we don't currently have aggressive plans to go after. So we met with the gentleman who runs the Solutions Partner Program. They get about, he said, 100 plus applicants a week to be a Zapier partner, which they obviously vet and they don't accept all of them. They put us in our program in 5 hours. That's not a flex. That's to say that what we're doing here is different. We're going at a proactive approach, not a come to me approach. Many of their solutions partners have great websites and do offer similar AI solutions, but you really have to find them. And quite honestly, many of these small business owners aren't the type to do that. They're not out there looking on LinkedIn and they're not looking on socials. They're not searching Google for AI solutions in their business. So we're taking it to the market. That's the difference in the go to market approach. And we're going at it with what we call applied AI. That name didn't come out of nowhere. That we're going after the outcomes that using AI and implementing AI effectively produce consistent, measurable, positive results for the small business. So this is not AI experimentation. This isn't about learning large language models. This is not about studying the power consumptions and the credit usage and how that's changing as the models change. This is not about any of that. This is, I would effectively call this blue collar AI. We're going with what works and positioning it in the market for tangible benefit from the small businesses. So what do the scouts do? We lead with outcomes. We don't talk technology. We lead with outcomes for the small business. And I'll get to more particulars on that when we talk about Unison here in a minute. We shift the conversation to the customer experience and the potential lost revenue. I was on a call with one of our scouts today, he closed a deal with a small business owner who couldn't have fit the bill better than what Unison could provide for him. He's a small organization, electrician organization in the Denver area. He's managing all of the inbound communications from multiple different channels that his customers and potential customers are reaching out to him through. And he's basically fumbling all of them because he can't handle all of them effectively. So we shift the conversation to the customer experience. On when I say that, I mean the small business's customer, how they reach out to that small business. There are 54 reasons on average that people look for information or look for contact with a small business. And they can choose 4 or 5 different ways to reach out. They might go to the website to get information, see if they need to call. They might go to a Google business profile. They might find them on Maps. They might reach out through, they might try to call. They might try to chat. If they have a chat bot on the website, they may try that. They might try direct messaging through a business page that the company has. A lot of business pages, by the way, on Instagram and Facebook that receive messages just completely are ignored because most of the business owners that have them don't monitor them, and some of them even don't know that people can try to reach them that way. So there's not a lot of consistent feedback to the ultimate end customer. So we position Unison as the outward facing communication layer. So all of those channels I just mentioned are handled with a single knowledge base, or consider it a business brain of the small business that replies with value back, not what the world's gone to over the last 5 years of, oh, thanks for reaching out, we'll get back to you. That's not an effective response anymore for actual consumers. Consumers in this microwave society are looking for real answers real fast to make decisions on whether they want to do business with this particular small business or not. So that's how Unison is positioned. As I mentioned, handles all the inbound. You can test all of this, and this will become your demo. As you start to, you're going to talk to customers and say, well, how does it work? Well, go to Kersey.ai and you can try out Unison right there on the website. You can pick whichever means you want. You can open up your Instagram and text and type with your thumbs, send us a message to direct message through Instagram. You'll get the same response as if you call the phone number that's published, or if you decide to just text the number. And when I say get information back, I mean valuable information, like what the type of things that people might be going through websites to find. What are your service areas? What are your service days? What can I get on your schedule? Scheduling is a huge component for small businesses. And with a simple calendar sync, we can see what's already blocked on their existing calendar, and the AI will just only book appointments on what's available for them. So at the end of the day, they may get 3 new appointments and they never were able to answer a phone call or didn't have time to return a voicemail yet. Those are the type of things. That's what we're saying. So think of it as a layer, a communication layer around the business. And it's important here to say to the small business owner, when you're positioning Unison, is we're not bringing AI inside your business. That's when everyone gets scared, right? They get scared of, oh, you're going to integrate with my old legacy systems. My system's so old, I break it myself. I can't have AI interfacing with that. Or everything will break, or my accounting will blow up, and all these things. We don't bring AI inside your business. We put AI as an intelligent communication layer around your business. Big difference. And the other big difference is Unison works in what we call a deterministic fashion. Now, this is an AI term that's becoming more and more popular. AI, by definition, is probabilistic. That's why it's really good at helping you solve problems or giving it a series of tasks to do, and it finds the shortest route to get to your solution because it's probabilistic by nature. It thinks of all the different ways it could do it, but it doesn't do it the same way every time, which is why when people say, I tried to use AI to generate my invoices and it was getting them wrong 10% of the time and I can't afford 10% error. Well, that's because the components that it was doing wrong, it was using its nature, which is probabilistic. We use deterministic means, which means we only use AI to retrieve the information about the business from its own knowledge base. The AI can't go out and search the web or make up an answer or try to fill in the blanks on something, which it often does. AI by its nature is also kind of a people pleaser. So it wants to give an answer. Ours is contained in a very deterministic way so that Unison only provides the answers that we've built into and trained the AI to use. That's a big point. Because of that, we can tell a story that reframes the value of what what Unison brings. We're not comparing this to a tool. Remove the word tool from your vocabulary and use the word solution. You use the word tool, you get compared against other tools. If you use the term, we're putting a communication layer around your business and you position this as How much does it cost you if you lose a potential new customer because you didn't get back to them with valuable information in a short period of time and they moved on to their next Google search? That's what gets the small business owners' attention. They are hypersensitive. This is actually the most sensitive component of all of their business. Everyone from three-man shops to 50-man shops are most ultra sensitive to losing potential new customers. And then, of course, losing existing customers falls right behind that. But those are the two things they look at the most is, did I keep my customer base? Did I keep them happy? Do I continue to book the next need from them because I'm doing a good job? This is where business owners really light up when you tell them it's not going to hallucinate. It's only going to deliver the answers you want. And it's going to manage all the channels that your customer chooses to use to reach out to you. Big, big, big value prop in one sentence there. So a saved customer pays for itself in a month. A new customer and a saved customer doubles the value, and you can do the math from there. That is why the Scout economics work out the way that they do. We're paying much more aggressively. Now, you're certainly never going to see anything like this in corporate world. This is also an advantage of being a 1099 independent contractor. You get to control your own expenses, you control your own calendar, and you get to drive your own income. The commission structure is simple. It's spelled out in the contract language as well that I mentioned earlier. You'll all get sent this. 20% for your first two customers, your third through your ninth customer is 35%, and 10 customers and beyond is 50% recurring revenue monthly, meaning if the customer's in good standing, paying their bills, you're getting paid. And I only say that because businesses are going to, go out of business, and there's going to be attrition at some point. We're not counting on that. We're hoping to help these businesses maintain. That's just a fact of life. But as long as your customers are in good standing, that's the commission structure, spelled out as I mentioned in the agreement. One quick note: if you find a customer that says, "This is great, I want to do it. I want to pay you one time for the year," you get paid for the 1 year of 500 a month or 50 or whatever your percentage you're at. You get paid that percentage in month one after the customer's paid. The only caveat there is we don't commission on the setup fee because we discount the setup fee to zero in order to incent that customer to pay up front. So it's a typical 500 to set up, 500 monthly. If they decide to pay for an annual plan, we discount the setup to $0. So that's the guardrails, if you will, around that and that component of the commission structure. The guardrails around discounting is where we will entertain if you come to us and say this customer will buy, but we have to provide a discount. They can't afford 500 a month. They can only afford something less than that. Bring that back to us, and we will put something together that can work for the customer. That will fall outside of the standard commission rate for the time being until we figure out if that's where really everything needs to be priced. If there's a market correction, we will make that correction. Just know that we're going after the $500 a month crowd. You want the $500 a month crowd because they value it that high. And that's important to know. You don't want to be competing at the $49 a month level because there's too many customers and too many problems at that point. So what happens? And by the way, I'm going to stop right here for just a second. All of this is going to be included in much more detail as we go throughout the training. So I'm going to get on to what happens after this call. And that is, I'm going to send you an email to the Scout Agreement and Code of Conduct. If you like what you see, at the bottom, you'll click a button that'll bring you to a form. Actually, in the email will also be a link to a W-9. You fill that out. You agree to this, fill out the remainder of the Scout on the form associated with the agreement, which is just more of your details that we need in order to pay you. That's really what that boils down to. Any onboarding would do that. And so then the training comes there shortly thereafter. Our commitment to you is by a week from today, all the training will be available. You can go through that at your own pace. We recommend you see it multiple times so that these things that happen, the potential objections, how it's positioned, all this stuff just rolls off of your tongue naturally. And you're looking for those small businesses that are wanting help. This isn't about selling something to someone who's not ready. If they're just not ready, there's 5.5 to 6 million, as I showed in that chart, that are ripe for this. They're the right size. They have the right challenges. They have they're in the right space, like the customer today I'm referring to, the electrician outfit in Denver. Perfect size, perfect profile for what Unison can do for them. So you'll see that. And then you'll also get access to our CRM. You'll be added as a team member. This is where you will input your opportunities. This is where the pipeline will be monitored. And I can assure you, this will be the most automated process you've ever seen, from lead all the way through qualified lead to agreement sent to the customer, to signed agreement, to on into operations, which we deploy, that's how we deploy with our operations team, and how you get paid. This is all paperless. Obviously, we're in the 2000s, but there's way more than that in automations to keep these things moving quickly. So that's how the deals will flow through the system: opportunity to qualified, to agreement, to the customer payment, to deployment, which is how you get paid. And we're going to pay on the 15th of the month for every transaction that pays in the previous month. We're not going to make a long tail out of this. I've been a sales guy my whole life. I hate long tails between when the deal's done and I get paid. We're not going to do that. So the 15th of the month following is when commission payments will go. And again, automation driven. AI is the backbone of Kersey AI, not just from an offering perspective, but that's how we operate. We don't take a shower around here. Maybe showering is the only thing we do. Without AI. And even then, I might be talking to ChatGPT while I'm in the shower, so who knows? So clear handoff to the deployment teams. We'll walk through that in training. There's multiple avenues we have for deployment. You'll be building that knowledge base along the way for what the customer, how he wants it to behave, what answers they need to be answered. And then we're back to handing a complete package to the deployment teams within days of closing, maybe right at closing, and then a couple day lag there, depending on our backlog of deployments, and the customer's live and you're in the books ready to get paid the following 15th. So in closing, if this is a fit for you, as I've mentioned, we're looking for professional, outcome-driven salespeople. We're looking for we're not going after the DIY market, nor are we going after the people that are already doing this on their own. But some of you on this call may be thinking, I do a lot of this on my own. That's great. We want you to be successful. This might be a starting point for you. It might be something that you stick with. It's okay either way. But the clear next steps moving forward are to get officially the W-9 component in so that we can build the method in which we're going to pay you, and we can get you trained and out there in the market talking to customers. So I didn't do a dry run on this, but I came up right at 2 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and tell anyone who's on mute, if they want to come off mute, and ask any questions. If there are questions you don't want to raise your hand right now, wade@kersey.ai, or the email you've already seen, kerseyconsulting.com. Both of them get to me. Send your questions in that way. And as by the way, there will be a knowledge base that you can query yourself for questions about the program. That will also coincide with the training being delivered a week from today. Cade, so you raise your hand there.
Hey Wade, I heard you talking about the guys in Denver, the electrician.
Yeah.
What is are you guys' kind of ICP like at the moment? What does it look like? Is it more in the trades? I guess in industry wise.
That's a great question. It really, if you ask AI that question, you'll come back with home services is a large segment of the five identified, and don't get me lying about what all five of them are, but some of them are like local dentist offices, med spas, home services, real estate, and Gavin may remember the fifth. Those are sort of the verticals that come to the top, if you will. But I'll say this, we're not exclusive to any of those as a specific ICP when it comes to offering Unison, because you might find a very savvy, very busy one-man shop who says to you, I would love this. I've been spending extra money on digital marketing. I'm still doing direct mail marketing, but I manage all of the responses myself and it's killing me. And it's worth the money for me to know that the responses I'm getting from all of those outward activities are being handled effectively when they come back to me. So I'm not limiting this to a size of company or a specific industry. I think, a couple of Google searches or use of your own um, chosen LLM would come up with some pretty crafty ideas for what might be the quote unquote low hanging fruit, or who are the most likely early adopters.
Awesome. I do have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What are the main objections um that you've been hearing? Like I saw the graph, and that's kind of what I
Yeah,
expected. But
I think what you'll find the main objection, and I would advise, and this will be in the training, if your main objection is trustworthiness of AI, you're probably not with the right person yet. And that when I say that yet, I mean in a month from now, they may rethink that because they might
got it.
see a competitive disadvantage that's come to the surface. They're all of a sudden seeing their competitors grow or take market share from them. And they're scratching their head going, how are they doing this? And with a little bit of digging, they find out, well, they've automated a bunch of stuff. So I think the number one hurdle that we're going to see still lives right here. It still lives in the fact that this scary line is above the early adoption line.
Mhm.
And as those two come back closer together and eventually cross, you're going to see that go away. As I mentioned the story earlier of Oracle's now going at warp speed. I don't know what warp speed in Oracle's world looks like, but if it means fast at all, that means they've come to the conclusion that there might be a little bit of a scary gap, but it's time. We have to do some things internally with our current systems, our current operations, using the trust, whatever they deem as trustworthy components of AI, right? We don't know what that means to every organization, but we do know that that's effectively what we're talking about. And I think, Cade, quite honestly, I think we're going to see that line come down really quickly this year. And we're going to see a lot of companies say, I'm not going to be around January of 28 like the timeline shows if I don't do something now. And the
Right.
good news with AI, is you can move quickly. You can make a decision and you can implement and you can see tangible benefits very quickly. And I'm glad you took me down that path, because this isn't the only automation we offer, team. This is what we're leading with. This can lead to, and Aaron's on here. Aaron brought this up a couple days ago with me. We're not saying this is the only automation that might fit. This will get your conversation going, and you might end up in a situation where a decision maker in a small business says, that's great, and I might want to entertain that, but my real problem is, and he starts to spell it out for you. Well, that's another opportunity that would fall outside of Unison. But guess what? You got yourself in the door with a universal offering, and now he's looking at you saying, could you do this for me? That's where the real fruitful conversations come in. Now, that's obviously would end up, each one of those engagements would be its own scope of work, and it would be its own deliverable, and it would be on a different time frame, and we would have to talk as a team about pricing, all of these things. But that would be a wonderful situation, and we're going to find organically, we're going to find what's the next logical step for those existing Unison customers. What's sort of the common next one? Like, what is the next one? Aaron and I think we've already figured out what it is. And that is, we think it's a reactivation campaign for companies that have a list this long and 20 years old of customers that they've had and haven't heard from or talked to in forever, and just using AI to get back in front of them, to introduce Unison back out to their customers, to say, we've enhanced our services. You can contact us any way you choose. You can schedule appointments with us. You can call and talk to us about your project. You can get, any type of whatever's built in the knowledge base, you can get back, right? You start to introduce that back to previous customers who may have forgotten about you. We call that reactivation. It's actually a very good term for what it is. Small businesses, gymnasiums are known for this, and there's thousands of them out there doing reactivation campaigns because they've got laundry lists of people that came in for 2 months to the gym and then quit, right?
Mhm.
Those are the type of customized automations we can do, and they might be just on the heels of you talking to them about Unison, even if that's not the perfect fit in at this particular time. So it's just it's a great lead in, and it's a great conversation starter. And as a great sales leader of mine told me once, when you know 10% more about a subject than the next person, you are the expert. So when you walk in and you're talking these terms with them, and you know their pain points in their business, and you're talking intelligently about how to use AI in a trustworthy manner and solving their problems, you're their AI, you're their AI expert. And that can go a lot of different directions.
Awesome.
Make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Well, I'm over time, but I'll take another question before we shut it down here. Anybody else got anything? Awesome. Well, like I said, this has been recorded. Everyone's going to get an email from me with the next steps, and reach out with any questions through email. And some of you even have my number. Just text me if you need to. We're not putting ourselves behind automation. We're here, and we're here to help. So with that, I'm going to say good night to everybody, and thanks for your time.
Thanks, Wade.
Thank you, Wade.
Thank you.